It's time for Class Racing Today, the podcast for the NHRA class racing fan. Welcome back to another episode of Class Racing Today. ClassRacingToday.com, ClassRacingToday@gmail.com is the email if you have any questions, comments, or just want to send a nice note to say hi. Welcome back to the show. We're continuing in this crazy world that we live in, 2021, where racing is off and it's on and it's who knows what's happening. Brian and Bobby, welcome back into the studio. How's it going?
It's going awesome.
Sweet.
What have you been up to, Bobby?
Still in Jersey, so it can't be going that great, but a little snow, not quite as cold today, and just want to get in a race car. It's really all I want to do.
Have you sat in your car and made race car sounds yet?
Vroom, vroom. Yeah, I cut a 005 light every time I sit in the car and make noises.
Nice.
I never go red.
You know, we're not very far away from race season. Like, I kind of went into panic mode this week. My car's in a million pieces, and in about 30 days, I need to try to go test before class racer revival.
Yeah, well, I'm already disappointed because my first race was supposed to be the ATCO Open, third week of April, and then followed by the Division 1 event the week after. So it was looking decent for me, and ATCO canceled, well, technically postponed both of them to a later date. They said it was due to the COVID restrictions. However, not a good sign for our beloved ATCO Raceway because it is there are talks that the place is getting bought and going to close up. So everybody say a little prayer for ATCO.
That means your schedule's freed up for Easter weekend.
It is. Yes.
I think, if you really wanted to save some money, you could do take care of a couple things at once. You should get married at the Class Racer Revival.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Look at the money you would save.
Think about all the times I tell my fiance I'm wedding planning, and when I go back to Pennsylvania, and I'm just working on my race car the whole time. I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast.
That would be awesome. I think we should do that. We'll pass the hat. Just think of the money you'll save. You can race. We could probably raise enough money to get you entered, pay for some of your fuel there. Do the whole walk up to the starting line. You may now kiss the bride, and you got to wait for the best reaction time. Wait for the tree to drop.
And then walk down the aisle.
Every
it happens to
dream.
be a quarter mile.
Yeah, take forever to get there.
This is the long you have to play that dun, 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 on repeat for 40 minutes.
Don't prep the track too much, or the what's the train might get stuck on the bridal dress and slip in the water.
What else do we have? We have the Division 2 event that was supposed to take place at South Georgia Motorsports Park. That one's been postponed till April 23rd and 24th. So I think that one was postponed to weather, though. So that's fine. As long as it was for weather and not for horrible governance and COVID restrictions.
What's been up with the weather? It's like normal winter here.
Well, but not if you talk to the people from Minnesota. They're kind of freaking out because they were, I don't know if I haven't listened the last day or two, but they're freaking out because the longest cold snap or below zero for the longest days maybe ever since like the 1800s or something.
But it's literally, the end of February, and we've had 2 weeks of cold weather.
Right, almost no snow, really.
This normally happens in October. We freeze and you get a foot of snow, and it just is miserable for months. Now we've had 2 weeks, and it's time to panic. I don't get it.
Well, how much of it is panic because the whole country is kind of cold right now, including Texas has snow.
Frozen windmills. Texas Motorplex was under a sheet of ice I saw on Facebook the other day.
Crazy.
Well, we all knew it was going to happen. Global cooling.
In the 70s, that's what they were saying. So they were right, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Now we know how the dinosaurs felt. It's over.
It's all over.
But hey, we landed on Mars.
Whew.
Yeah, that's
Matt Damon landed there a while ago, didn't he? What's the weather like in good old North Carolina? Hey.
Is that my? Well, I'm looking for the intro. I didn't get the intro yet. You know,
Well,
like
it's gonna be like an answer a question then intro. I just made it up on the fly.
I was asked to stand by patiently while my red carpet was laid out for me, and apparently that wasn't going to happen. So
That's a slower reaction time than Bobby's average light.
Listen,
yeah,
I run True Start. The other guy went red first, so I just took my time. I took my time launching. Right now, it's miserable down here. It's raining like every day, but there's no snow. I'm looking outside right now. It's just gloomy. But it's supposed to be like 60s next week, so looking forward to it.
I will say you're safe on that delay because Bobby's used to having about a 7-second head start with his slow Ford. So
there you go. There you go. That's funny.
I got nothing. I just
you have a Ford. You have nothing. So
it's like making fun of a handicapped child right now. Like, come on.
Dude, that's awful.
You guys drive Chevys. Like, how much easier can that get? Just pay somebody to build you a fast motor. All right. Anyways, before I get myself into trouble, Mike Pozzi, Pozzi, however anybody wants to say it. But if he was in Italy right now, it'd be Pozzi. And he drives a GTK automatic 83 Camaro. We don't know if he runs a legal hood or an illegal hood. And maybe we'll ask him today. We'll get to that later.
Man, that's funny.
Because I don't know if anybody was aware. It's totally slipped by me on classracer.com. Totally. I don't even know if I saw it on NHRA Racer. I had to scroll to find it, but there was like a hood scoop ruling that came out in addition to that overstaging rule that none of us have really. Brian, did you figure out what the hell that was all about yet or not? Was that just going through all the beams, or was that like deep staging? Does anybody know?
I believe it's going through all the beams and then coming back, but that just goes to show how hard we were searching for things to talk about. Like, we're not quite there yet. I don't know. Somebody's got to explain this GT hood rule because I don't quite get it or know why it matters.
We're gonna dive head first right into it, aren't we?
Like, is there a hood somewhere?
Not even warming up.
Hold on, wait before the hood rule. I want to know this. Then it said for that overstaging, that meant all categories. Does that mean like if you have a super comp dragster, you're not allowed to do a burnout over the starting line anymore, or is that even possible?
It would make things go a lot faster.
I know. I would love it. I mean,
actually, those guys run through pretty quickly though. Like they're already doing a burnout before the first two are even on the track yet. They're pretty quick.
Do you want to know?
I have to give them credit for that.
If they really wanted to speed the race up, let's just institute a time limit from when they call last call to the lanes, stock to the lanes, for pairings. You have 5 minutes to get to the lanes. Like if you're not there, there's like a shot clock, and if you're not there within 5 minutes, it's automatic.
You're done.
Right.
The gate, they have to have a chain up there, a caution tape, like turn around.
They could literally run they could have a 200 car quota on stock if you could just get people up there in 5 minutes after.
Oh, absolutely.
People cutting each other off in the pits.
Yep.
How many fist fights there would be at the top of the lanes? I was here.
It's gonna be like a round race. There's gonna be people with hammers knocking carburetors off and leaving donuts on the side.
So that overstaging rule, that happened to me at an 8th mile race down here a couple of years ago. I'm in the semis and I'm like rolling up and I'm staging my car, and the guy next to me, I'm not really paying attention. He's staging the car with his back tires. And I don't think he realized it. This guy's a really good racer. I mean, I don't think he realized it. So the starter backs us both up and has us like restage our cars again. And I'm wondering, looking back, like you kind of learn from your mistakes, whatever. Like, what if I put both my lights on? Would that have made them go red immediately? I don't know what would have happened. So the starter did the right job by backing us both up. But people are watching it on TV. They're like, why isn't that guy disqualified? I guess now there's a rule in place where that guy's, hey, you're done. Like you don't know how to stage your car, or you did something wrong, you're disqualified. So.
And yet another way.
But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
And, dude, I tell you what, man. Oh, it's like another way. We found out numerous ways last year how to lose. We're still finding new ways. It seems like every year how to get sent home early.
Yeah, I did that in 2019. I invented 3 ways in 1 year. It's pretty crazy.
Bobby,
all first round too.
Bobby, what is the? not maybe not the most unique way, but the most interesting way you've lost a race.
I was driving doing some of my best driving at New Media in 2019. First round comes up, and I launched the car, and the seat, I was running the stock seats. The seat, the back of the seat, like just went back. So my foot came off the throttle for like a tenth of a second or something. Boom, that was it for that. First round at Atco that same year, like a month later. Come out of the burnout, my line lock won't release. So had to drive down the track with my line lock. So that guy passed me at 1,000 foot.
Jeez.
And first round at Maple Grove, got a flat tire, front tire, driving up to the lanes, got it plugged just in time, but could only had one of them little air guns, only got like 20 pounds of air in the front tire before we had to roll out there. And I had to go down the track, like holding the wheel to the right the whole way. And that killed me like 800ths and lost that one. That was all three. They were all 3 months apart. First round, all three of them too.
What about you,
The car
Brian?
was running phenomenal. The car was running
hoping you weren't gonna
phenomenal
ask.
in qualifying.
It's still kind of painful, but it was one of the last races I went to. Our home track, Thunder Valley here, I lost to him. I think in the first time we raced, I lost. He just flat out beat me, I think, in the quarters of the semis. And then I believe the next time we met was, I think, in the quarters. And I thought I had it figured out. I think I beat him on the tree. He was a faster one of those new style Mustangs, you know. And I'm like, I got him. And I tapped the brakes and his wind light come on. And I tripped the beams with my front bumper. Yeah. Got my ticket and I'm like, how'd I go 128 mile an hour on the brake? Yeah. If I went to hit the brakes, I would have went dead on and had him covered. But
That's another thing. I wish that finish line beam was the same height as a starting line beam. I don't know why it's not.
I wish that would have happened in like first round though. You know, it sucks later in the rounds like that. Like, did everything perfect, had him beat, and then just beat myself, which I guess that was a very good lesson. And then I lost in the semifinals about 2 weeks later because the guy dropped me and I was afraid to hit the brakes because I didn't want to trip the beam again. Like, it's like all of a sudden he dropped me, I'm at the cone, and I'm like, crap, there's nothing I can do. So I just took my defeat.
How about
That
you,
happens.
Mike?
Oh God, I was hoping you would. I really was actually was hoping you would not ask me that question. So I was trying to put the attention on you guys. So
you did start it.
I did. You're right. You're right. So I guess the most recent one was Atlanta last year, the divisional. 2 rounds of qualifying went fine. First round, no, second round of qualifying, I I snapped my anti-roll bar. It broke off of my rear end. And the car, third gen Camaros, even maybe fourth gens too, they roll like crazy if you don't have an anti-roll bar or airbag or something set up. So especially on a stock suspension. So tore up the quarter pretty good. I found a Top Sportsman guy to bring his TIG welder over and welded it back up. We put the car in the stacker, and then first round launched the car. And my dumbass, like, I thought it'd be cool to have a Jiffy tight or like a quick disconnect for my carburetor, thinking like, all right, man, I'll try different carburetors. I don't know who's going to be here. I might put my Quadjet on and run a different class or something like that. And wouldn't you know, the freaking disconnect comes off of the carburetor before I even get to second gear. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. So the guy comes out with a 4-wheel. I'm like, don't worry about it, man. I don't need it. I'm not broke. I'm just an idiot. And I just hook it back up. My brother and my mom are coming down with the golf cart. I'm like, you guys, what's wrong, man? What's wrong? Nothing. I'm just gonna tuck my tail between my legs and just put the car back on the trailer. So then it was it. What was it? It was the end of the year. Rockingham. I'm in my brother's car because my car destroyed itself in Virginia last year. And I'm going round just as nice. Third round. I go to crank the car up. Everything's running. The car won't start. I'm like, what the heck? Like, all the guys are in the staging lanes, and my guy's waiting for me. And we can see the staging lanes from where we're parked. And we call Robbie's wife. I'm like, listen, Tabitha, we're coming. Just give us a second. the accelerator pump on the carburetor came off the carburetor between second round and when I drove back to the pits. Never in my life have I ever seen that happen. Like I'm just thinking like, oh my God, this is a new way to lose. I can't believe this is happening. So I run in the trailer and pull out my spare carburetor for my car and rob the little lever off of it. And luckily it was rubber, so I could like bend it and force it in, and it worked fine. So just had to kind of get my bearings straight because we took the fuel lines off. Brent had his head over the carburetor, like, is there fuel going in the carburetor? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, and I look at the carburetor, like, there's something missing. So we finally get it fixed. We get to the staging lanes, everything works, and I still lost. let's be honest. Like, there was no chance I was winning that race, but yeah, I'm like, another way to lose. It happens. I mean,
doesn't that suck? You always, like, when you figure out a problem, you pull the all-nighter, which we've done before, like with the super stock. We've had the front of that motor off, Friday night, had to change a timing belt. This is when we were running the wet belt inside the motor, like all this stuff. We get all this done and make it in time for first round. And you would just think, like, you know what, just be like in the movies. Like, when I go up there and cut like an 010 light, go one over my dial, and the other guy is like 005 and dead on. And it was, that was in ACO also. And I have bad luck at that place. I don't know why I'm so sad if it closes, but it was just like, come on. Like, how did we pull that job off and still do a decent driving job and just can't get the damn win?
So we were at Aiken, South Carolina, a couple years ago for I think it was the 8th mile series. I think it was, and I'm in the 4th round. Like, I'm in, like, my worst light was like an 020 all week. I mean, I was just, you have those days where you just feel you feel good, and I'm thinking, all right, I got an alternate. This is when I was running with an IHRA combination, and I'm thinking I have an alternator. I get back, I disconnect the battery, like, everything's good. I'm not going to worry about nothing. They call us up, car won't start. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm running like a lithium battery. I'm trying to save as much weight as possible. I'm like, I don't have the right charger for this. My charger takes forever to charge. And they're waiting for us as long as possible. That's the good thing about these racers. Like, we all understand what all the other racers go through. So, like, all right, this guy's going through something. I'll give him a minute. We've all been there. After a while, I see my competitor go down the track. Here comes a red Camaro going on the track. I'm like, yep. And I told my parents, my brother, like, those guys, don't talk to me for like 20 minutes. Just leave me alone. Let me just get my frustration out before anyone says nothing to me. Like, I learned my lesson. Now, believe me, we have spare carburetor parts. We always did. We have spare batteries. We have almost a second car, like, sitting in the trailer at all times, just because once you learn how to lose, you don't let that same mistake happen again. So we always carry a bunch of spares for, like, pretty much everything we could possibly carry a spare for.
So here's a question for you. Have you ever taken off with your battery charger still attached?
I personally have not. I cannot confirm or deny that my brother has. Yeah, Brent, I said it.
You should probably
but I caught it pretty quickly. I go, Brent, yo, stop. Your battery, because he's having a good day. He's hot lapping. And I like, Brent, stop. I've seen it happen, though. I've seen people do it. You just don't think about it.
I made the mistake of laughing, like, what's wrong with that guy? Like, how do you not forget to do that? And I think it was probably like the next round. I go to back up and it's like, oh, hordes flying through the air.
I mean, you're thinking about, all right, I got air in the tires. You got fuel in the fuel. Like, you're thinking about all these different things, and you just forget the one thing. Like, we've gone to the staging lanes with lug nuts coming off the tires because we forgot that we torque them. I torque my tires down when I get to the track every day, every race, and it's just like you're setting the cars up, you're setting your pit up. Like, you just forget to do one thing, and then you get to the staging lanes. I get a call, hey man, I need to bring the torque wrench. I got you. Like, it happens to me. I mean, just you forget something, and you hope to never forget that thing again next time.
The problem I run into is my pit guy is probably the biggest airhead / moron in the country. Like, I don't know where his head's at most of the time, but
Wait, does he sit in the driver's seat too?
yes, it's a one-man show. It's just a complete.
It's tough, man, doing it by yourself. There's a lot to think about.
You're like, all right, what am I going to dial? I try to pick it when I park my car. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm going to dial next round. And then I just don't worry about it anymore.
Oh God, fresh fish. Let's pick a number.
That's
Honey,
right.
what number do you like best?
That's funny.
Hey,
My thing is air the tire. I always forget to do that. I put the fuel in. It's one of those, fuel or air. Fortunately, I've never done the battery thing. But I've gotten in the car, fired it up, and was like, oh, I never put any fuel in the car.
Now I've seen guys going around and then they hook the battery up, and the battery wasn't actually plugged in. So they think the battery's charging up. I mean, all you gotta do is just hit the cable with your foot by accident, and you don't realize that you unhooked it. Next thing you know, you turn the car on. I'm like, why isn't my car running? I've been charging the car up, and you look over and like, oh, the plug isn't plugged in. That happens. That's easy to do.
yeah, I think I'm a firm believer in keep it simple. Like I'm trying to have like the same routine every time. So I park the car, put fuel in right away, put the battery charger on, figure out what I'm going to dial, and then just wait. Like, but I'm probably the worst racer out there because I don't really check my air pressure. I check it when we get there. If something I have to make a change, I change it. But I think some people check their air so many times they'd actually have to add air because they're letting it out every time they check it.
Yeah, that's me. I check it in the lanes. I check it at the top of the lanes, check it at the bottom of the lanes. If there's like a delay for 5 minutes, I get out of the car. I like check them again. It's
It's a sealed system, right? Like you put air in, it can't come out on its own unless there's a hole.
Oh, I've had holes. I've had leaky valves, stems. I've had the sun hits it, it inflates it a lot.
Yep.
But I guess when you have a Ford, you really got to work hard to make them work.
Bobby, you should just put a Chevy logo in the back, just to
Do that 'cause
preserve.
you get a horsepower
to-
hit.
Just to confuse everybody.
He doesn't want to get hit by horsepower. That's the nice thing about being slow.
That's true. That's funny.
I know it.
Speaking of slow, that's why I run K. Is I think I'm one of the few guys with my combination, and I'm one of the. There's a reason for that because no one's dumb enough to run my combination when there's other combinations in my class that are significantly faster. I run the 327. I run a 300 horse, and I'm so slow. I actually got horsepower taken off the combination 2 years ago, and I didn't run the car enough to get horsepower taken off this past year. I tried, but it wouldn't work. So
that's a good point. Like I thought you couldn't redo. I thought once, or is that combo never been hit with horsepower?
Well, it hasn't been hit. So it was my understanding that NHRA, when a new combination comes out, this is not including the Copos and all the factory cars because they're a whole different situation, but it's 85% of what the factory horsepower is. So 85% of 300, I'm not a mathematician, but I think that's 285 horsepower. This is with the aluminum heads. The 300 horse with the cast iron heads has been out. That's already been hit. So my combination hasn't been hit yet. So I was able to get horsepower taken off.
255.
Which one?
255. 85% of 300 would be 255.
Okay, so mine's at 285.
Okay.
That's what NHRA put it at to start off with. So now I got it down to 281. I got 4 horsepower taken off, and I don't hold. Like I'm just not fast. Like my engine is not set up for my car and my weight. It's just one of those things where you got to work with what you have, and that's kind of what we had. And I'm trying to make it work the best we can. I'm going to try to get horsepower taken off again, and hopefully I can. The problem is if I drop down to L and M, the 250 horse 327s are right there, and they're faster than me. So I can't go up because GTJ automatic is like where all the sharks hang out. I can't go there, so I'm kind of just hanging out in K, hopefully dodging all the heads up runs and stuff as I can. So
yeah, J is pretty tough there.
It's tough, man. It really is tough.
That's I've always thought about trying to go to super stock at like our combo races, but you've got Spear running in J, or even GT. They'll run each car in the different class. And
So you were an LS1, right, Brian?
yes,
So that would be the LS1 cars I know in the fourth gen styles. That's like an H car, right? H automatic.
so it would be all right. You can run HI or J in super stock.
Okay.
I think.
How come you could see Firebirds with your combo running AA, but I don't ever see a lot of Camaros running AA?
Well, they can't. There was something about how it was reported in NHRA. The Firebirds can run AA, A, or B based off of how the shipping weight was reported, and the Camaros can only run A, B, or C.
It's the same combination and same rating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just there, the shipping weight was reported differently between the two.
That's weird.
Yeah, screws me in stock too. Shipping weight hatchback.
And it's funny though. Like I kind of wanted to go to a Firebird just to try to go to that AA. I mean, unfortunately, the LS1's been battered more than most abuse shelter victims, but it's just the way it is, like
Yeah.
in AA, you're pretty safe up there. In my area, there's not a lot of them out there, but
right.
I'm just gonna practice it, trying to be a better driver and slowly peck away at it's actually probably easier to make the car work and go fast because it has been pretty tricked out. And the Camaros, as just work. They're pretty nice race cars too.
Right.
Yeah, and if you do want to run super stock, you can do that at nationals where they only take like 50 or 60 cars. I don't think you'll have to hide from too many people if you don't have enough grade points to get in stock.
Yeah, that's kind of what's at. I mean, even this year, like with the races getting canceled, I mean, I hate to say it, but I heard Vegas is opening up to like 50% capacity, but I think everybody's going to be searching for grade points. I think NHRA is going to carry 19s for another year. Just, it's not looking super promising out there.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Florida, they should just run. You have like, 3 or 4 states right down there in the bottom southeast part of the country that are open. If you run the whole season in Texas and Florida and Charlotte, you might be all right. North Carolina, is that open and 100%?
Yeah. I mean, what do you constitute 100%?
No masks, do whatever you want.
Oh no, we all wear masks. We have to wear masks.
Bars, nightclubs.
Yeah, this was obviously you don't want to get political, but you have to wear a mask to walk into the restaurant to your seat. Then you take your mask off when you get to your seat. You have to go to the bathroom. You got to wear a mask to the bathroom. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a restaurant or a bar and grill where the people hanging around the bar watching the football games and stuff, no one's wearing a mask, but you have to wear a mask from the bar to leave the building. So, I tell people at the track, like, listen, whatever we need to do, we just need to do it so we can keep racing. Like it's not worth the aggravation. If you're afraid of getting sick, just stay home. If you're worried about catching something, just stay in your own pit and do your own thing.
Well, see, here in Jersey, you can't sit at a bar. You have to. It's tables only. So
really,
the bartender comes around to your table and gets you a drink, or makes the drink, and then a server brings it over to you, and not allowed to sit at a bar. So, but same thing with the mask. Put it on till you get inside. Now, I'm near Atlantic City, and the casinos were really strict. They yelled at my one friend. He was sipping his coffee. They told him to put his mask on in between sips.
Come on. That's ridiculous.
You're gonna have the mask with the little straw hole, so
right?
It's like they do with the marching band at college.
It's a diaphragm where you can.
Wow.
Somebody should come up with a mask you can drink through. Then
that's a bit excessive.
I was in Casper, Wyoming 2 weeks ago, and we had got in kind of late, so we were trying to find a restaurant, and there was a steakhouse available. So we went in there, and they've got a whole, you got to wear masks going in. You got, the whole thing. And they have like a hand sanitizer station at the waitress counter, where you go to check in. And it says you must You're required to use hand sanitizer to walk in and when you walk out. Of course, I didn't. I didn't even wear a mask in there. I'm like, this is stupid because 10 feet away from me, everyone is sitting with nothing on. So you cannot tell me there's any scientific logic behind that 10-foot space in there. So, Mike, in your case, what happens if you just don't wear one when you go into the restaurant? Will they kick you out?
They won't. They'll ask you to put a mask on, and this happened to me by accident one time. We were going to a driving range. It's called Drive Shack, and I walked in, and I didn't have a mask on. They go, "Sir, where's your mask?" I go, "Oh crap, I don't have one." I go, "Can you provide me one?" They go, "Yeah, here's one. Here's one. Here we have one for you." And that's what I ask. Two things. Number one, if I don't have one, you should be able to provide one. If you're not wearing one, then I'm not going to wear one. Right. If I walk in, there's a lot of businesses I walk into that makes you wear a mask, and you walk in and no one, and it's an office space and no one's wearing a mask. Then I'm not wearing one because I'm not sick. I get checked at work every day to make sure that I'm not sick. It's one of our requirements because we're considered essential with what I do. So I haven't stopped working at all since this whole thing started. So I know we get tested every day. But out of respect, I'll wear a mask if one of my customers asks me to, just out of respect.
Well, and that's just something that we all should do. I mean, just
Right.
to be aware of the people around us. I think the issue is when a government agency comes in and says, you're not allowed to do this, or you're like, have to do this. You can't wear, if you don't wear shoes and don't wear a shirt, all over the world or the US, no shoes, no shirt, no service. That's kind of a thing that we forget about.
Unless you're
right.
Well, and so, that's not a big, it's not abnormal to have a dress code policy in place in business, but the private business, in my opinion, should be able to make that call. And if a private business wants to make that call, wonderful, let them.
Yeah, I'm never going to criticize someone for having a mask on. Like, I'm never going to make fun of someone. Like, that's 100% your decision.
Absolutely.
But just don't chastise me if I don't have one on at that very minute when I'm around you. Like, just don't stay next to me.
Well, and thinking about the race world, you three, all of the scientific research really has shown that outdoors with air, wind around you, is the safest place to be in all of this. So the question I have for you guys is, is there a need to be, you're outside, it's windy, you guys, there's all kinds of stuff going on. You're probably getting more crap in your body from the exhaust coming out of these cars than anything around you. Is there a need, or is it just messaging? Is it just to look a certain way, to have masking when you're outside at a racetrack?
I think the problem is the owner of a racetrack. If you want to stay open, you have to show that you're trying to follow the guidelines. I think I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said, if you watch the Daytona 500, they were limited capacity, you had to wear a mask, but when they're panning around, they almost didn't want to put anybody on camera that wasn't wearing a mask. But it's kind of like the restaurant. If you have to wear it to walk in the door, and then when you're sitting 10 feet from somebody, how's that any difference? If you really want to help with germs, stand outside the bathroom and put hand sanitizer, because 99% of those people wearing their mask aren't washing their hands when they leave the bathroom.
Well, and you think about it, if you're then taking your mask off, putting it back on constantly, and the whole concept of you have to take it down between sips of coffee and put it back on, you are actually contaminating that thing. It's now no longer useful.
Yeah.
If you're going to make the mask actually do what it's supposed to do, you put it on properly and you do not touch it again. Because when you touch it, you got to throw it away and put a new one on. Well, that doesn't happen. So, it seems, when you look at it from a bigger distance, it really feels silly. And not to diminish that a properly worn mask won't help you, because I'm not going to say that it won't. But the way we're wearing them, I was in Starbucks in Target 2 nights ago in Oregon, and I walked in. The Starbucks is, as soon as you walk in the door, you turn left. And I was walking in there to get a coffee. And what you do with coffee is you put it inside your mouth. So you have to have that transaction. So what I did, I walked in there, didn't have a mask on, whatever. And the lady behind the plexiglass shield, wearing a plexiglass shield on her face with no mask. So what she's wearing is a shield like this that allowed airflow all over. She made me put a mask on to order. And I asked her, I said, how come you don't have to wear one? Because, I mean, what she wore was a spit blocker. And that's fine. You know, I kind of want people that are making my food to have a spit blocker. That's not a bad idea. But her thing was, my employer said that this is good. But you need to wear the face thingy that wraps around your whole face. And it just seems so silly. The way that it's being, you know, it'd be one thing to say everyone has to wear N95 and it's got to be worn properly always. That's one thing. But to say, yep, cover your face. So I could technically put a piece of paper in front of my face and get the same result that she had working there handling the food. But we have conditioned society so much that if we have this thing, we have to look a certain way. It has to look a certain way. Doesn't matter if it's efficacious at all. It has to look a certain way. That's what I struggle with. And I think in the race world, when you're outside at a track, if the whole point is you have to look like you have something on, well, man, that's advertising. Let's just capitalize on that and sell the snot out of that advertising.
If you fly, like I flew in December, I don't remember what airline we even flew, Frontier or Allegiant. Like I have like a silk like necky deal that I use for a mask. That was not, I walked through the whole airport, checked everything, got on the plane. They're like, as I'm getting on the plane, they're like, that doesn't work. That's not a mask. You have to
Really?
use a specific like surgeon type, like healthcare mask. They handed me one, a little packet that had 2 in there. I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure the silk one over my face that funnels everything into my neck is probably safer than the big gapping air holes on the other one. But whatever, I did it just because that was their request. It's their plane. I'll do what they want me to do. And then I flew a different airline to Phoenix a couple weeks ago. Yeah, silk was fine. You know, it's just like there's no real standard, and it should be kind of like you should be able to determine what your protocols are. But the whole thing is just crazy. I totally respect if somebody wants me to wear one, I'll wear one. I normally carry one with myself. I've had it. I think I've had it twice. I'm fine. I'll wear a mask for whatever you want me to do. But I was at a basketball game, and in our town, it's if you want to wear a mask, you wear a mask. If you don't, you don't. Well, I watched this lady. Her kid was playing with his mask, and it fell on the ground about 3 times, and she was very adamant. You need to put that up. You need to put that on. You need to put it on. You need to put it on. I saw it. It was completely black. I don't think it had been changed or washed. Like the inside of it was white, and it was literally gray. It looked like you literally scrubbed a car with it as dirty as it was. And I thought, how is that helping your kid? Like, at least if you're going to make them wear it, wash them or have multiples.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
We should talk about
crazy
Marketing.
Yeah. Was that-
Hey, Bobby, ask me a racing question.
I know, right? So, what I did want to get into, and part of the reason why
really
we
easy
have
to get lost in the weeds with everything that's going on.
I know, right? It's just so easy. But if you want to read all about that, just scroll your Facebook feed. And
Yeah, really.
let's get back to racing. Mike runs Superstock GT, which, I mean, I feel like the majority of Superstock runs Superstock GT. So a few weeks back, this hood rule clarification came out where they said that the OEM hood openings must retain all flappers, grills, hardware as originally produced. So, okay, the full stock hood, including the latches, the hinges, the springs, the brackets, we already knew that. My question is, I don't run Superstock GT, so I don't know the ins and outs of it.
But you can, though.
I can, and I'm hoping to at the end of this broadcast. But where does the body of the car stop and the engine combo of the car start? So if I have a 69 Mustang Mach 1 with a shaker hood, I can obviously run that hood if I'm calling the car a 69 Mustang. If I am running that 69 Mustang body, Mach 1 body, whatever, that came with a shaker hood, but I'm stuffing one of my 302 5-liter engines in there, I got to take that hood off of there and put a hood on that's similar to the hood that came on the 302 Mustang. Is that correct?
No. So I did as much research as possible before I came on here, and I wanted to make sure I could articulate as good as I can the rule I made some phone calls and did what I could to get some homework done. I'm going to use my car for an example, and it might make things clear for your car, Bobby. And even you too, Brian, because I know you can have numerous hoods on your car as an LS. So your car or your engine has to be it's what you call a fresh air engine. And I'll get into specific on what happened to me. It wasn't bad. It was a learning experience. So my hood is a fiberglass hood that came on my car in 1983. Hasn't been touched. From bumper to bumper, nothing has been replaced in my car since 1983. My car came with a Crossfire fuel injection engine, which no one runs. It's a dog. It's better. You're better off making it a paperweight than a race car engine. So the engine I have in now is out of I claim 66 Corvette. In 1966, a Chevy Corvette did not have a hood scoop for my combination. There's no cowl induction hood like you see on a Camaro. No cowl. There's no fresh air ram air system to get air into the engine. So therefore, my engine cannot have any fresh air going into it. So I can run my hood. I just can't have the hood flaps that are factory on the hood open. I can't have the direct air going in the carburetor.
Okay.
So on your car, Bobby, I had a Fox body too, which is the biggest mistake of my life. But I had a Fox body, and it had an aftermarket hood on it. But it might come with a cowl hood. As long as it has a cowl hood, you can run a fresh air hood with it. So you could put you could put a 302 in that Mach 1 and run a shaker hood on it, as long as the 302 was a fresh air engine.
Right, which it wasn't. So Fox body comes with maybe the SVOs from 1985 or something.
Will they have like the two things on the side, like on the side of the hood?
Just one in the middle, like the
Okay.
shaker type. So the 69, if I run the 69 428 Mach 1 shaker hood body, and I put the 302 engine in there that did not come with a hood like that. It was not a fresh air motor. I just have to block off my Mach 1 hood. I can still run my Mach 1 hood. I just have to block off the hood scoop, is what you're saying.
I'd have to Google and see what you're talking about. But you have to have a flat hood on it. You can't block things off. You have to just put a flat hood on it, from what my understanding is.
Okay.
So I'm trying to. I want to say it as politically correct as possible, because I don't have any ill will towards a tech official. I think he's a good guy. I've talked to him before numerous times. I think the timing was bad, but this happened at Galat, second qualifying pass. I'm on the scales, and he asked me, he's like, "What combination is that?" And I told him, he's like, "That's not a fresh air engine. You need to close your hood up." And I'm thinking, like, this is a really bad time to be telling me that. You got to tell me that either before the race or after the race. You and I can talk and, like, hey, moving forward, you can't have your hood like this anymore. But I think the intention was good, but the timing was off. Needless to say, I didn't change my hood until the end of the year because I didn't see anything in the rule book. And I will, there's no reason to get into anything political as far as why that came up or whatever. But needless to say, I have two extra hoods that can be running this year. I have there's another fiberglass hood that I have that the flaps don't open, and I have a steel hood as well. That hell, the steel hood might actually be better because I might have more carburetor clearance underneath. So who knows? I might actually be faster with that hood on it. It'll be a little bit heavier, but who knows? Once the engine's done, I can start doing some testing and find out.
You were asked to change the hood, then you weren't asked to block anything off on the hood.
No one asked me to change the hood. They just said you just can't have the hood open. You can't have the flaps open. So the flaps got to stay closed. The problem is the carburetor flaps got to stay closed, but the carburetor is literally right to the top of the hood, and I only have like a 1-inch carb spacer on it, if that. So like there's not much room underneath the hood for much going on underneath there.
So you're at a disadvantage, though, I would think. So let's think about the factory cars, the Copos that have that huge cowl hood on them. If you take that motor and put it in, like to the Gen 3 Camaro, or even a Gen 4, right? There's no way to get a hood. Like you can't get that Copo hood on that.
I don't
car,
know how. I don't know how you make that work.
Yeah, you
You have to
can't
run
get.
modified, so you don't even need a hood.
Well, you can just run a hood scoop, and that's a whole different avenue we can go down another day. Like I don't want to get into that today because I don't want to piss anyone off. But
We kind of did with Warner.
Warner. I mean, Warner makes a lot of good points. I actually went up to his trailer in New Media and talked to him like, hey, I like what you were talking about with the hood scoops and the modified cars, and he made some really good points on his podcast as well. I don't know how someone can fit that Copo motor. That intake is freaking gigantic. It's super high, and those hoods and those Copos are pretty big. But I don't know. He might know something we don't know, and if he makes it work, that'd be great. It'd be a heck of a combo.
Oh, GT.
GT.
I mean, it just sounds dumb because I haven't thought it all out yet, but I would love to just get rid of those two letters, just make everything SS, and somehow find a way to factor, somehow in a perfect world, find a way to factor everything fairly, and let's get some more heads up runs going.
So
because there's just too much switching back and forth. Oh, today I'm super stock I automatic. Tomorrow I'm GT M automatic or whatever the comparable class is.
So here's the argument, the rebuttal to that. I can't run natural super stock because my car never came with a 327, obviously. So I've been trying to figure out how to talk about this. NHRA and stock, at least stock eliminator, there has to be some kind of purity still. Like there's still purists left in NHRA and stock and super stock, mainly stock. That's why you don't have stock GT in all these different classes. You have stock and you have factory stock. And I think it's awesome that you see all these cars from the 60s and even earlier than that still running stock, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful cars. And it's, it'd be nice to have some old IHRA combos come over, and I get it. And I was always an advocate for that, and I kind of still am, but it's nice to have AA through V. I think the taxi guy runs a V, and you have the factory cars, and that's it. There's no other new classes coming up. But then you have super stock where you have it's almost more classes than comp, and comp has 1 million classes. So to your point, or a rebuttal to you, Bobby, is I'm going to use the 350 combination that they run in J Automatic, the L98 combination, because it's I think it's one of the softest combinations in super stock, and it's one of the fastest too. Guys can't run super stock with that combination in like a Berlinetta style car without ground effects and without the right hood. But in your case, Bobby, if you want to put them both in the same class, super stock, you're kind of going against what NHRA stood for. Is, hey, that car doesn't fit that class because that car never came with that engine. Now you're going to let some 305 or V6 Camaro run super stock when that car never had that engine in it. And you're kind of making the lines really gray, like really blurred, to where, okay, now we're kind of losing the authenticity of what stock and super stock is supposed to be.
Well, the ratings would have to be so what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Not proprietary. It would have to be so accurate that this motor in this car is rated at this. That very same motor in this car is rated at this. It's this V8 in this front wheel drive car is rated higher than all of them because, I mean, to me, front wheel drive cars, they're bullshit to begin with, and I don't like them. But
I'm glad you said it. I mean, let's be honest. Like I would, if I had the money, I'd buy one tomorrow.
yeah,
I buy a Cobalt or G8 tomorrow, and my car would be so much faster at 2,800 pounds. I'd be a mid 9-second car instead of a mid 10-second car. That's what the engine belongs in. It belongs in one of those kind of cars. But my gripe is some of these cars, they look like a comp eliminator car. They got 2 carburetors on it. I can't even distinguish that engine from a car that came off the factory showroom. I mean, they're beautiful cars, and I think they're awesome to watch and they're awesome to listen to. But it's like, why do some of those guys get rules set for them? Like Warner said, like I can't run a rack and pinion in my third gen, even though it's safer. There's no advantage. It's just safer. But those guys can run one. I get that.
Right. And that's why I'm glad they did come up with different ratings for front wheel drive conversions.
Oh, they had to.
Over the last couple
They had
years.
to.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, though, you got to make it easier for NHRA. Like that's the problem. If you had, so say they're all running super stock and you have two different indexes for two different motors in the same car, like it muddies the water too much. Like they have a hard enough time regulating everything now. Like it does need to get more complicated.
I think that's why they got rid of the shipping weight. Maybe that's one of the reasons, because now they don't have to worry about, hey, does your car fit this class? When what's the shipping weight from the factory? They don't worry about that anymore. So now you can run GT anything you want as long as the car works and you're at the right weight. There's no more being 200 pounds plus or minus shipping weight. Makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, that was another one that I had to have explained to me.
Yep.
10 times.
Like I literally had the screenshot of my car's shipping weight with my combination screenshotted in case that was ever a question. And then now it's like, okay, now you don't have to worry about it anymore.
I wish it would say on the qualifying sheet though for all the GT cars what it just says. Like for you, it'll just say 1983 Camaro.
We'll say 327.
Yeah, I would love for it to say the cubic inches and the year. The 1966.
Oh, right.
327. Like,
yep.
Just to, I don't know, out of curiosity for educational purposes and just to bring a little bit more accuracy to it and rigidity, just to make sure, okay, that's what he's running. And if he claims something totally different tomorrow or the next day, then there's a problem.
See, and I do that. Like I'm a huge student of the sport or hobby or activity, however you want to call it. And I'm still relatively new. Like my feet are just getting wet. I've only been running super stock for almost maybe 2 years. So I'll walk around the pits and I'm like, hey, what combination is this out of? Like, I'm not questioning the legitimacy of it. I just want to know, like, 305 injected, what car did that come out of? I'm just curious. Like, I'll look at the sticker. I'm like, what's that rated at? Just because I want to learn. Like, like, there's other cars that can fit my class. Okay, what engine? What car did that come out of? Oh, it came out of an 80 Chevy 350 dish piston. Okay, what car? Some people don't even know. They just know that that's the combination. That's what it's rated at. Let's build it.
Right, because that's all it says in the guide. And that would be great if it was on the stickers, on the weight sticker,
Right.
It just says, I mean, mine's 289, 210, 207. And, don't you want to know what year what car that was? I guess you don't even have to say the car. At least the year would be nice.
I want to go down.
Cool.
I want to back up and go down that road. Like, what brought you to racing? Tell us, like, who are you? Where are you?
Who am I? Who am I?
What are you?
What do I represent? Who am I? That's from that movie, with Robert De Niro. So let's see. I can't remember the exact moment or exact day, but my father always had first gen Camaros. He's always had them. I mean, none of them were like really showroom, but he's always had a bunch of them, and one of them just kind of stuck around. And it's been a race car since 1970. I mean, that's the car that I was running last year. Well, that me and my brother kind of resurrected. My dad had a 396, 3 1/4 horse. It was like super, super slow, but it was a great car to start off in, and took it to Empire. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to Empire up in New York, Leicester?
No.
You've heard of it?
Okay, I've never been there. Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a great track. We were about 45 minutes away from it when we lived up in New York, and we just went there and tried it out. I was awful. I mean, I cut like a 499 light, and then I'd cut like which was 1,000 from perfect. This is when 500 was perfect.
Yeah.
498, 499, 499.
So a 001 red.
9, and then first elimination pass, I cut 700 something. I was just awful at drag racing. I mean, I can't say I'm super improved, but so one thing my father would never let me do, he'd never let me buy back. Even if I had the money, he would never let me buy back at a bracket race. And we always bracket raced a class car. Just, I don't know why, it's something my dad wanted to do. But that's kind of where I started. And then Brent got into it. And that's the car I'm driving now, is a car he learned to race on. And then for like 15 years, we didn't touch a race car. We were playing high school sports. We went to college and played football out and did that for a while. And then I played after college. And then it's like, all right, now we got to find something to do. Let's try to resurrect some of these cars and see what we can do. Because we went to the 4-wides and walked around, talked to people, learned what combinations are what, and who does what, and who builds engines. We didn't know anyone in North Carolina, and we just kind of just slowly started building things, and we built something. It would be super slow. Find someone to talk to, kind of stick with them, learn from there, and just it's funny how just the snowball keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now, Brent runs AA. His car is getting faster and faster every year. I'm just trying to keep my stuff together. I'm crossing the traps at 9,000. It's like, oh my God, please, nothing come out of the oil plant. Please, nothing, just please, nothing break.
Feeling.
Thank God at Virginia when my car broke, I didn't even get in second gear yet. When
Bobby, you don't know the feeling. You're saying that at like 4,000 RPM,
right? He launches.
I'm at 9,000 RPM in the burnout, or in the launch. So.
Jesus. So, yeah, with a small tire, I mean, I can't launch at a high RPM. So my car has zero torque in the engine whatsoever. So that's kind of a big disadvantage. Like the car needs to be back halved. That's in the works. We're working on it. Hopefully next year, if the money's right.
So did your dad class race, or he was just a practice?
My dad, oh God, listen, if you have an hour and a half to kill at a racetrack, go talk to my father. I know he's going to hear this too. I'm going to catch hell for it. He'll talk to you about running modified eliminate or modified production, setting the record. And it's a pretty cool story in a Chevelle that I think Bruce Larson owns it now, but he had a Chevelle that was pretty quick back in the day. 4-speed, I think it was a 4-speed. And then once we were done playing high school sports and stuff like that, we kind of had the funds. My brother and I had the funds to kind of do our own thing, and my dad was kind of guided us in the right direction, told us what to do, and luckily he had all the parts laying around, so we didn't have to go out and find a lot of stuff. So we got to use a lot of old parts and put them back to use again.
Yeah, I gotta find him. Are you guys gonna come up to the Class Racer Nationals again in New Media?
Do what? I'm sorry.
Are you gonna come up? Are you gonna come up to the Class Racer Nationals?
Oh, absolutely, dude. That race was probably the best race of the year. I mean, I raced a ton last year here in North Carolina. That race, Ken Mealy, I say Mealy, right? Ken Mealy?
Mealy, yeah.
Okay, I always thought it was something different.
That's what I say. I hope that's right.
I think it's right. I mean, from when I met him, that was the best race I've been to all year. The way he ran that race, and I think Fletcher had something to do with it too. Big Timbo did.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys in Biondo, those guys ran that race so well. Do you know? I didn't want to get into this, but do you know the different ways to actually get to that racetrack? Because you come from the north, right?
No, I come from the south.
Bobby,
I come from
the south. Okay,
near Philadelphia. So
okay, so
I have to go up.
So you go to the left or the right of the track when you go up?
I go up and then I go left, so I come down. Like
I
stay on highway as long as I can because I can't get up those hills.
See, thank God. So you might have heard the story. We were
Wait, were you the trailer that jackknifed?
That actually did not do that. So, oh God, no. So
the whole town had traffic coming through, so I had to turn around because a big rig went down a small street and tried to make a turn.
I heard about that. That was not us.
Okay.
So luckily, we left about 6-7 o'clock North Carolina. It took us about 8 hours to get up there. And like 3 hours or so before you get to New Media, you can go left on 15 or you can go right to 81. And the guy we were driving behind, following him, he went right. So the way you go is the way we were going to go. So I had my phone out. I'm like, Brent, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Ken is there waiting for us at the gate. We're like 20 minutes away from the track. If you go the way you're not supposed to go. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So my brother's rig is roughly 85 feet long.
Jeez.
Okay, he has a stacker, 2 cars. I'm like, all right, Brent, listen, we don't know anything. This is our first time doing this. So I go, Brent, listen, you got like 2 or 3 tight turns in the town, but it's 2:00 in the morning. No one's gonna be up. The whole road is yours. Just do what you got to do. Okay, there's no terrain on these phones. These phones, there's no hill terrain. So like,
Yeah.
so all right, we're good. So it's 2:00 in the morning. I go, Ken, hey, we're about 20 minutes away, and we go over a hill, and Brent's like, kind of like, oh crap, this is why no one told us to go this way. Next thing I know, like we're going up a hill. It's raining outside, and Brent's speedometer is at like 5 miles an hour, and his foot's in the floor, and I can see the water temperature gauge like climbing by the second.
Oh.
I'm like, dude, I'm just thinking like, I'm thinking of, okay, what are we gonna do if we don't make it up this hill? Like, I'm trying to think of like ways. Do we unload the cars? Like, can I drive the car 3 miles to the track? Like, can we block this trailer off and just 2 in the morning? Like, no, I mean, there's all forest and hills. Like, no one's gonna hear us. So, like, all right, we get to the top of the hill. I'm like, sweet. Okay, we take a deep breath. We're good. Nope, it's straight down. Like, damn, it's like a freaking roller coaster.
Yeah.
So, like, all right, we're good. Next thing I know, it sort of got, it was like a freaking movie. We get to the bottom of this hill, and it's a 4-way stop. And anyone that's been to this track knows what I'm talking about. There's a 4-way stop, and there's 4 traffic lights, or there's 4 lights, and all you see is like 20 feet of road, and there's nothing else. All you see is just like, it's like an abyss. You just don't see anything else, and we don't know how high this hill is. We don't know where it's going. And Brent's like, what are we supposed to do right now? It's raining. I can't back up. We can't K-turn this thing. Like, listen, just back up as far as you can and get a head start. And he floors it. I swear to God, I really didn't think we were going to make it. Like, this thing has 1,400 foot-pounds of torque, and I think we used every freaking foot of it.
Oh my God.
And we're halfway up, and we think you got to take a sharp right turn. I'm like, you just hear Brent like, oh shit, like, what are we supposed to?
Yeah.
So we finally get to the racetrack. Ken is sitting there. It's like 2:30, 2:45. He's there waiting for us, which is awesome. Brent's shaking. Like, we're just like, Brent, just get this thing parked, and let's take a deep breath, and we'll talk about it in the morning. Let's just get this thing situated and get through the gate, which by itself wasn't easy, because there's that one little gate, and there's not much turning radius.
Yeah.
So. Oh my goodness,
The place is tough.
That's tough.
Such
Very
a
tough.
great place. Such a love the
Out in
owner,
the
the
middle of
family that
nowhere.
owns it. Just wish they could just pick up and just move down to
I know.
Maple Grove Raceway.
So when we left, we took a right instead of left out of the track, and it was significantly easier.
Mm-hmm.
And people would just laugh. They were laughing at us. They knew exactly
Oh yeah.
what we did, and they were laughing. That was kind of our, hey, welcome to Division 1 kind of deal. Like, hey, we're the idiots that came up here from Division 2, and we kind of took it on the chin. And then I broke my transmission first race, took it out, and put a stocker transmission in that actually went faster in on Sunday. And I don't know, it was overall, I think it was a great weekend. I can't wait to go up there again and do it again. I think it was well done. I wish I knew you guys then. I would have came over and said hi to you guys. I didn't know that you were there, Bobby.
Well, that's the day I met. Brian called me, so I met him over the phone, and that's when we said, he talked me into doing a podcast. So that's where it kind of started at that race.
What about the class race revival?
So, Bobby, are you going to make your way out to the media?
Yeah, I'm going to go to that. I don't know which car I'm bringing yet, though. But are you?
First world problems.
Are you going to go to the class racing revival?
No, I won't. I won't make it to the one in St. Louis, and my car won't be ready to go to the South Georgia one. I'm not going to be ready to go. I'm still waiting for stuff to show up.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how that all plays out. Shipping right now is kind of a mess for everyone and getting things ready, but
yeah,
it's gonna be pretty cool.
It should be fun.
Hey,
both of your guys
filling up. So,
are both of your guys' cars ready to go?
No, mine's.
Oh, no, Brian. Oh, Brian, you're always working on something, aren't you?
Yeah, it's all tore apart, all new stuff. Like, I'm hoping to go. I think we can race in Kansas. I think there's some testing days in March, so I've got got about 3 weeks. I got to get everything back together, and it'll be a whole new ball game. So we just gotta. Hopefully, I'm not testing in St. Louis, but I just want to race, so I don't really care.
How far do you live from Kansas?
Depends what part. I think, Craig, how far is Kansas City?
Oh, was it 10 hours, 8 hours, something like that?
Is it Tennessee, Missouri, or Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas?
Yes.
Two of them.
It's Missouri, right? It's the east side, yes.
No, I went to college in Kansas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to Kansas Wesleyan, out in middle of nowhere. I mean, literally the armpit of America. Like it was middle of nowhere.
Oh, I'm sure they love you saying that.
They're not. No one out there knew anything about drag racing. We're good. I think we're safe. We're safe.
Nice.
So you weren't a Kansas Jayhawk. Darn.
No. But I'll tell you what, man. Basketball is like religion in Kansas.
Is it?
When it's KU, by the way, it's not UK. I learned that the hard way.
That's
UK
Kentucky.
is Kentucky. When KU and K State play, like everyone has it on, no matter what you're doing.
Where'd you go to college for?
Football.
He didn't go to class.
I did. I mean, my body was there. I can't tell you my mind was there. No, I went for social welfare, criminal justice. I was gonna be a social worker, but the college I ended up graduating from dropped the program. I couldn't get my master's. I wasn't gonna pay for my master's. That was ridiculous. So, yeah, more in the human services realm kind of deal.
Is that what you do now?
No, I'm actually a sales and service rep for an environmental company. I'm still helping people, but just in different ways, I guess.
So football and chicks, basically, is what it came down to.
No, boy, you're going. That's a weed. I don't feel like really pulling up right now, Bobby. It was mainly football. It was mainly football. Let's just say that. I was lucky.
Excellent.
I didn't have to worry about any other riffraff. So
I see a Jet Hot flag back there. Is that are they paying contingency this year or what?
I'm trying to get them to, man. I'm trying to. They take care of me and my brother. They help us out.
They used to sponsor this awesome breakfast brunch at the Nationals in Maple Grove back in like the late
really?
90s on Friday. Yeah, if my dad would let me take off of school on that Friday, you could go up, and they had this big tent. It was awesome, and they'd always have John Force they were sponsoring him at the time, and he was signing autographs and whatnot. But they used to be right down the street from me in Bridgeport, Pennsylvania, and then I guess they moved out down to North Carolina.
They're in Burlington and Oklahoma.
Okay.
So I remember when I was young, before even really got into it, and I just started out, and I was watching TV with my father. I'm like, Dad, can we get our headers jet hot coated? This is when we live in New York. He's like, no, we were so tight budget, it wasn't even funny. Because I saw Force, he was advertising it. Like I thought that was really cool. This is before stainless headers. Like I thought it was really cool to have your headers coated. And now, flash forward 20 years or so, 15 years or so, it's like now we get to be a part of what we couldn't do a long time ago. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's cool. And speaking of contingency, real quick, just want to say, I don't know if anybody heard, but Wright Trailers, they are going to do like if anybody remembers the Perfectly Strange award, if you run right on your number, I believe you get like $1,000 from them. Wright Trailers partners with NHRA, and it's starting at the Gainesville race. So right on the number program plans to award $1,000 cash prize to any sportsman racer or split between racers who run their index or dial in during a winning round of competition during an NHRA national event. So that's cool because that Perfectly Strange award used to be really cool. And then Strange kind of backed out from that for years. And now we have finally something to replace it. Something that anybody can win. Like you can
what does PC do?
What's that?
Doesn't PC do something like that too? Like
PC Richard, like they do something at the divisional and Division 1 races. I don't know if they do it for all the other divisions.
Okay.
Yeah, they were doing something right on the money award, I guess at a divisional or at a national open.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
I believe it was gift certificates that they would give.
Okay.
But that's cool. Anybody that steps up, anybody that pays contingency, I want to get these companies noticed. I want them to make sure they're getting a return on their investment. So, I
Right.
try my best. Maybe we'll start putting random Facebook posts out there to highlight these companies, just as a thank you.
My my marketing manager here said that if you guys call or someone calls for they want something done, that they're going to give 10% off the top of whatever the price is. If you give us a call here and you want something done for your, they do headers, intakes. I mean, they do powder coating. They do a bunch of stuff.
All right. So we'll put
to help
that,
us out.
anybody that's listening to this episode. So anybody that's listening to the episode, they can just mention that they heard this episode and called Jet Hot,
Yep.
and they'll get a 10%
Call
off the code.
ask for Ashley. Ashley's brother actually runs Superstock as well. He's really, really good. So she knows quite a bit about what racers need and stuff like that.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll put that out there.
Yeah.
As for Ashley, do you have a phone number for Jet Hot?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
All right. Well, the website.
Yeah, the website. You have to do a quote online anyways. So
Okay.
or you have to do a whatever.
All right. Well, we'll get that number from you and we'll put it out there. So that's really cool. Jet Hot, thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you, Mike, for putting in that word for us. So, well, it's been great having you come on. Thanks for educating us on all this GT nonsense.
I'm not an expert at all. I'm learning by the mistakes I make. That's how I learn. That's how I know. Like, I ask a lot of questions and I try to be continuously like trying to be a student of the game kind of deal. So I don't know nearly as much as people think I might know.
Well, you know more than myself, and if you know more than me and Brian,
you know
then
more than me,
then
you're
we're
winning.
learning stuff. So
Brian,
also
you
to get deeper into the GT rules, we're gonna get Don Kennedy on here one of these times, and he actually helped write the rules for GT, so I'm sure he's a wealth of knowledge also. So
oh
he can
gosh,
really-
yeah, Don. I've called Don numerous times asking him questions about stuff and legitimacies and what can you do, what can't you do, and stuff like that. But Brian, you running fuel injection, man. That's literally learning the whole different language. So I give you guys a lot of credit for knowing how to do that stuff. That's just like, to me, that's very intimidating trying to go fuel injection like that.
Yeah, I don't know anything different, so it hasn't. You gotta learn. It's all new.
All I know is a carburetor, like Justin Lamb said, carburetors are closed loop. You can change jetting and keep it closed loop, and it's super, super simple.
Yeah, you really have to be impressed by the guy that designed that. Like that's rocket science. That's voodoo magic right there in a box.
Right. That and the automatic transmission.
There you go.
And on that note, I appreciate your time. It was fun having you on, Mike, and we'll
Yeah, man, that's cool.
we'll look
I appreciate
forward
it.
to hopefully meeting you someday at a racetrack and telling more stories.
There's plenty
Yep,
of them.
and we got to speak to your dad about his modified days.
Oh
of
God,
modified.
just make sure you have at least an hour that you don't have to do anything else in your life. And I'm just telling you, I'm just preparing you for what could happen.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on, Craig. Take us away.
This is Class Racing Today. Thanks so much, Mike, for taking the time. Thanks, Jet Hot, for extending a little discount out to the listeners of this podcast. ClassRacingToday.com is the website. Get involved on the Facebook forum. There's a lot of interactivity going on out there. Don't miss it. If you want to help sponsor this show, produce it, send us an email, classracingtoday@gmail.com, and we can get you more information about that. Thanks so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. Be safe. And I'll see you out on the track.